Hi folks, welcome back to the amazing education station. Yes, welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time. Please like, thumbs up, and subscribe if it benefits you, which it should, because if you follow the advice, although this is not financial advice, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer or a financial advisor, but these videos will just help you be healthier, happier, better off financially if you follow the advice, which is, be frugal, take steps to benefit your health by like eating well, exercising correctly and enough, and resting enough. We would have a peaceful planet if people followed my advice to stop overcrowding the planet, understand what is greed and against human rights and what's for human rights, and also evolutionary Darwinian sort of look at everything on the planet, which is aligned more with science. Now, science is a way to understand the world better, and the more understanding you have, the more knowledge you have, the closer your thinking is aligned with what is real, the reality, the universe, then the more power you have. They say knowledge is power. So align your brain with reality, with the universe, and get your thinking away from just wishful, unsupported, contradictory information, and then you should be a lot better off. Okay, now this is part 2. If you're wondering, what does this have to do with the video? Part 2 of TurboTax improvements and tax programs in general, which I recommend. Use software to get your taxes done. It's just wonderful. If you're not doing it, if you're doing it by hand, you should really try. You can even file your taxes using just your phone, and it is amazing. And you can pay your taxes, most of them electronically. But this is part 2 of the online systems. Now, there are a few things you still can't do with TurboTax, and one is it's not very clear that it won't pay your state taxes electronically, and but nevertheless, you should look at your return once it's finished, and it will tell you how much you owe, and then you need to pay your state tax if you owe state taxes, or just wait for the refund if you're lucky. So, but yeah, you may have to pay, and you would have to pay either the old-fashioned way by check and mailing it in the post office, or by P.O. box, however you're going to mail it, which yes, I had to do. And the same is true even today, I believe, for estimated taxes, even federal estimated taxes. I think you have to print out something or do it by hand, send in a check for estimated taxes, and it's sad. So there's room for improvement. So something to look forward to, the day when maybe a tax program just runs on your phone, and it can maybe run more frequently than just once a year, so that you're paying your taxes on maybe a regular basis, and so you don't have a shock. Now, some people love the surprise of getting a return. So if you're working for somebody else, you've got a salary or pay because you're an employee, then you might get money back in a big lump sum sometime in April or May, and a lot of people are so happy, and they spend the money and they're excited. Well, that's good if you enjoy that, but it means you paid a lot of money that you couldn't use, and suddenly now you have it. So there are positives and negatives to it. So and many people are encouraged to buy something and then basically not be frugal and not sort of follow a budget very well, and then it might lead them to having economic trouble in the future. So yeah, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but it's going to benefit you. By the way, I am a master educator with 25 years of education experience, 25 years plus. And yeah, so please, right now, I'm inviting you to subscribe, look at the other videos. It's really going to transform you financially if you're not doing well financially, because what I encourage is get your spending below what you're earning and invest at least 15% of your monthly income, and then you'll probably have a wonderful retirement, less worries as you get older. And you can't necessarily count on Social Security. I have some possibly negative news, which is they may raise the age when you can start receiving Social Security, which means basically people will get less money because it's at the end of their lifetimes, and so that's not good. Okay, but now back to the tax programs. So there's room for improvement, but I think we can look forward to the state taxes being automatically paid in the future if they would just cooperate better with TurboTax, and you might have to pay a little bit more. So TurboTax, it's sort of a deal. It's not that expensive, really. Probably less than $300, almost full service, $500 probably for a complete full service where you don't even do your own tax return. They can do it for you. I think it would likely be for a single person around that in 2022. Now, of course, prices change all the time. We have inflation, terrible government-caused inflation, and nevertheless, there is that room for improvement that we need. So if you work for TurboTax, or anytime that you say you do a review when they ask how was your recent experience with TurboTax, point out you would like them to handle state taxes. That would be really helpful. And they do handle state taxes, but for example, each state is so confusing. They can change their legislation, which means how their taxation system works every year. They could, there's nothing stopping them from doing that. Maybe a few times a year it can be done, and so it would make a lot of work for TurboTax, make TurboTax more expensive. I'll give you an example. They don't tell you at the end of filing your return, they don't say you must print out your state tax return payment vouchers, and some it's like a little form that shows how much you're going to pay and gives you instructions, and you attach maybe your check or something. Although you can pay electronically, perhaps if you go directly to the state website, and but it's different for every state, so who knows, maybe your state website doesn't really allow you to just pay without filing directly with them. Who knows? I don't know. There's 50 different states, and maybe more in the future. So, or fewer states in the future. So anyway, but that's an issue which it would be nice if these tax programs would handle, because it's a headache for a lot of people when they're busy and they maybe have to pay money and have all this paperwork. And it's right, oh my gosh, we have an Easter weekend, maybe busy with the children, having fun and doing an Easter egg hunt and coloring eggs. But the taxes, taxes are due the next day or maybe the day before the holiday weekend, depending on the particular year. Changes year to year, right? So taxes are a stressful time, and even if people get money back, they gotta get the paperwork right. So that's my recommendation to programmers, and as I said, for you to contact the programmers and improve the system by suggesting, hey, do the state taxes completely, coordinate, and of course the true answer may be that the states are not sophisticated enough to coordinate properly. They may not have good programmers, which it's not only TurboTax that is responsible for the interface or the ability for you to pay state taxes. It also depends on the states and their systems. And it's possible, believe me, I know banks can mail paper checks, so TurboTax could coordinate with the bank, with your bank, but it would be very complicated because there's so many banks and so many different states and different systems. But it's still possible if you want to pay for it. And but maybe it would be considered a luxury. And if you're going to pay maybe $500 just for the state return that is done completely for you with no effort on your part, well, gosh, then you could just pay somebody where you are that that amount of money. But it's still an opportunity. TurboTax could provide that service, and something for them to consider. And as I said, the squeaky wheel gets the oil, as they say. If you request it, if you complain, maybe you'll get an improvement. And if you don't believe me, you think it's a huge corporation that wouldn't change anything. Well, I complained in the past about the phone app application for the iPhone was not capable of completely handling self-employed TurboTax returns and all the details. Well, guess what? They fixed it. They improved it a lot. And they have just very minor changes to make. I could give you one detail. So if somebody's self-employed, the chances are they could have Roth IRA, or I don't know about the SEP, SEP, or Simple, or KEO, or COG, or whatever, but I do know about 401ks. There are self-employed, also called self-directed or solo 401k retirement savings plans, and then there are Roth, which means it's after-tax retirement plans, where you have a big benefit because all of your earnings or gains in that investment account in the future are not taxed. And of course, the original money that you put in was so-called after-tax, which means you already paid your income tax on that money, if it was income, actually, not a gift. So anyway, however it gets in there, once it's in there, you don't have to pay more taxes. And although there are certain penalties if you don't follow the rules and you remove it early or something like that. So it's not completely risk-free, but it's good. However, so TurboTax needs to improve their system for handling that, and basically the instructions that if you put too much money into those accounts by mistake, they do have a warning page finally. That's an improvement, but it's not very clear because it doesn't say if you have both an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, that is a Roth, R-O-T-H, Roth IRA, and you have a Roth 401k, which it's acceptable to have both. It can be useful. So if you have both of those and you make too much of a contribution to them, the warning is not very clear, and the instructions and what you should do at that point are also a little bit mysterious, and the calculations and how they figured that out are not visible to the user, which I believe is really important in helping you to fix it. So anyway, there's another thing to be improved, and TurboTax hopefully is aware, because I've pointed out that it's a bug. They agreed. It's sort of a bug. As I said, the instructions are not clear. They're misleading, and the wording is wrong and very confusing. So, but anyway, okay, so hope this benefits you on your way to financial independence and less worry, maybe no worry about your money life. And best of luck. Please comment any questions that you want answered. I usually have an IQ over 120. I'm a master educator, and maybe I can answer some questions of what's good for you to do. Check out Dave Ramsey. I think I can provide some advice that may be even better than Dave Ramsey, because I don't completely agree with, let's say, his philosophy, but he's a wonderful place to start for people who have financial trouble. Okay, good luck.